Bob, do not feel bad about promoting your book. That's a wonderful book. And I appreciate how much time you spent talking about the mental aspect of MS and the mental aspect of choosing to go down this recovery path. One of the things that I've learned as I've worked through my therapeutic lifestyle clinic is the mental game is so critical. So we spend a lot more time. Every time I take people through my lifestyle class, I spend more time talking about what I call the internal resilience factors. What are the reasons we're going to do this? What are our internal motivations? And the willingness to craft your hero's journey for the work that we're going to do. Because adapting, sustaining behaviors that you talk about in your book, I talk about in my book, is difficult because we're asking people to give up addictions, comfort behaviors, comfort foods, and start doing stuff they've never done before, eat foods they haven't eaten before. And the mental aspect of being willing to do that is so important. So I really, really like that in your book. I loved the conversations about other people who've had their transformations where they did the impossible. And you've done the impossible. I've done the impossible. Many other folks have done the impossible. And I think it helps people understand that.
Wow.
Yes, it is possible. It is possible.
Yeah, right. In the word impossible exists the word possible. So, yeah, because the one thing that I found fascinating, getting to know you, reading your book, is that, our backgrounds are so different. You're medicine, science, and I'm music, and we both came to, strikingly similar conclusions with, very similar results.
Yeah.
But through very different paths. Yours is from an analytical standpoint of cells, biology, medicine, science, and I didn't even take a science course at school. So.
Well, but one of the things I keep in mind is, so I'm an academic doc, a professor of medicine, and I believe in the newest technology, the latest drugs, treat disease very aggressively, see the best people in the country, and so I did that very aggressively because I'm an aggressive sort of girl, and I continue to get steadily worse. And when I could see that I was headed towards being bedridden, demented, having pain that was increasingly difficult to control, and I'd come to terms with potentially being bedridden, potentially becoming demented, and having to come to terms with that I might have pain that turned on and not off. That was when I started reading the basic science, struggling through all this in the midst of my brain fog, and would ultimately let go of everything I thought I understood about chronic disease and health and the determinants of health to create this diet and lifestyle program based in science, put together in a way that no one else had put together before, to have my own personal radical transformation. And of course my physician colleagues were really pretty amazed with this recovery, but very nervous that the professor of medicine wasn't talking about drugs anymore, and I was talking about these radical things known as vegetables and movement and meditation. And so the residents would, in clinic, they'd be my partners, being usual docs, talking drugs, and here I am, and I knew to talk biochemistry, cellular physiology, and then my students would think like, okay, we're going to be talking about the drugs, and then I'm like, no, we're going to be talking about sulforaphane and broccoli and isothiocyanates, and we change physiology with food. And so that was a pretty difficult transition for many of my colleagues to figure out what that meant and that I was doing this radical thing. And it would take a while for me to get all of them feeling comfortable with what I'm doing. We had a few bumps, quite a few bumps along the way.
Wow. Oh, it's fascinating.